Hey everybody, it's LavenderTowne. And there was a point where I really started to lose personality in my art style. It didn't feel like it really belonged to me, and I really wanted to make it feel like mine again. If you're in the same boat, here's the tips that helped me fill my art with uniqueness and whimsy again, and not only does it look better, but I find it's also more fun. And to be clear, this should work no matter what kind of art style you're going for. The idea is that you want to personalize it more and focus it more internally on the things that genuinely inspire you and the things that you really like, as well as making a plan for how to keep improving your skills without losing your art style, which is a weirdly difficult thing to do at a lot of points. And that is why I started to lose my art style, was my difficulties in learning figure drawing and going to art school. It felt like I had to lose the uniqueness or the whimsy and the playfulness in my art style to keep improving my skills, but that is absolutely not the case. And then lastly, if you feel like your art style isn't unique or isn't yours because you feel like it's too similar to one thing or another, one particular anime style, usually that means you just have to broaden your points of inspiration, which we will talk about at the end. So for our first little exercise that should help you get the uniqueness back in your art, I want us to go back in time, and I want you to remember what originally made you want to draw. I'm talking like as early as you can remember. When I was little, I loved combining animals to try to make new ones, designing elaborate cakes with lots of fillings and decorations and little twisty patterns, and of course dragons and snakes. These were the things that excited me. It didn't matter that they didn't go together. It didn't matter that there didn't seem to be a real market for drawings of cakes that have a million different fillings. That was just what I loved to draw, and that's all that mattered. So in order to get back in that mindset of just pure inspiration and pure fun for whatever you find interesting, try and basically make a commission for your childhood self. The only person who has to think it's cool is your little self that still lives within you in your memories. So in my case, that meant making a dragon, a little dragon that hoards sweets and cakes. I really love dragon mythology and the idea of different dragons having different hoards of things, so I thought this would be a really great way to add together two of my childhood obsessions. The reason I really want to start here is because I feel like a lot of the time what can sap the joy away from our art is forgetting this base, forgetting that early version of yourself when you were only drawing for you. It is really hard to get back there, but it is totally possible. I also made a little Garfield cupcake inspired by the fact that a lot of my earliest drawings were just tracing paper over Garfield comics. I was always quite a comics fiend, but in the early days I didn't have access to any comic books, so usually it was just grabbing the comics pages out of my parents' newspaper and reading them obsessively, and then eventually I would ask my mom for collections of Calvin and Hobbes and Garfield and stuff like that, and it really started my comics journey, so I had to include Garfield in there somewhere. Whatever your main things are, try to just pick like 2 or 3 so it doesn't become too much of a cacophony, and really try to enjoy the parts of it that you enjoyed as a kid. Don't stress too much about it looking formally nice. You really just want to tap into that old school joy you used to get just doodling with a crayon as a little kid. I really recommend this exercise, it's very fun. Next, I want you to pick some time periods or art movements that you really love. Every era used different materials, different color palettes, and broke realism rules in different ways or to different degrees. Now obviously you aren't going to be exactly mimicking this time period in your own art style, but I find one way to avoid looking too stereotypical to the time that you currently live in is to take a few small qualities or inspirations from the past. Some of my favorite eras of art are Impressionism, like Van Gogh, Monet, and Mary Cassatt, Paleolithic art like cave paintings and these wonderful little sculptures, and 90s and 2000s alternative comics. For this drawing, gather up references from your favorites. Don't worry if they look super weird and different from each other, that's where the uniqueness of combining them comes in. You're not copying any of these, just the parts of them that you love most. For me, I'm using the line art from the 90s comics with their scratchy and intense lines. I'm going to include little creatures inspired by the Paleolithic sculptures in the background, as well as a little bit of that texture. And I'm going to use the colors and light from the Impressionists I love most. Pick out some details from your references and try to combine them into one drawing of your own. Now, you may notice that for me, this actually doesn't look that different from what I draw, and that's because this is the way that I built my style originally. I wasn't even aware of it at the time, but like the pastels mixed with the super expressive and scratchy line art, that already was a combination of these beautiful pastel colors that I loved from the Impressionists and these comics that I kind of grew up collecting and trying to find. And as for the Paleolithic little creatures, well, in my next comic you'll definitely see that there's some inspiration there. The important thing is to not copy one inspiration point directly, and this is where a lot of people run into trouble. They'll start with something they really love. For me, it was Soul Eater. I was a big Soul Eater copier. And then after some time I really felt like I was just like a Soul Eater, like a worse version of the mangaka of Soul Eater, and I realized I had to stretch my wings and start taking inspiration from more than just one place. And that's how art movements continue to change and artists keep coming up with original stuff, even though there's been so many different iterations of sculpture and painting and art. There's always going to be more because humans are really good at building off of what previous people have done and combining them in totally fresh new ways. So I also wanted to include some of the hatching that I really loved and used to obsessively do in all of my little comics when I was a teen. Still trying to tap into the things that really got me obsessed with drawing when I was a young person. I also color picked a ton of colors from water lilies, and I think it looks really cute, and I kind of love her. Honestly, I would love to see this as like a trend on social media of artists showing kind of the eras that they love most next to the art that they make and just see what they've subconsciously or consciously picked up. Okay, now that we've gotten in touch with two areas of the past, our childhood and the artists who came before us, it's time to look at the present. Pull up a drawing you've done recently. Either with sticky notes on your sketchbook or in a new layer on the drawing in a digital program, circle areas that you really like about your current style. Write them down as well. Next, think about the things that you aren't quite happy with yet. This is a great way to make sure that you're improving your skill without losing your uniqueness. So for me, my favorite parts of my style are the scratchy line art, the irises that change shape, and the playfulness. Looking at this drawing in particular, I ended up circling a couple areas that I probably otherwise wouldn't have thought of. One thing that I especially like about my own style, and make sure that you are able to talk positively about your own art, because not being able to is really detrimental to your art career. I know it sounds conceited when you're not used to it, but you have to be able to say the things you like as well as the things that you need to improve. So for me, it's like the creative liberties I take, like with this fan art, I changed parts of her outfit to just amplify more the energy I was trying to get. And I also really love some new shading things that I was trying in this image, as well as the hatching throughout her skirt to give it fabric texture. And then I noticed a few places like the background seems a little bland to me. I'm not happy with one of the hands, and I generally feel like both the pose and the expression of the mouth could be improved. So, you know, obviously your weaknesses and strengths will be different than mine, but you should have something that kind of looks like this by the end. You can actually collect all these references and drawings together somewhere visually so you can remind yourself and track your style's evolution. I'm going to be using Milanote, the sponsor of this video, but you can use whatever you like working in best. So I've pulled in our notes drawing here, and it's kind of at the heart of what I'm going to build around. As for actually like attacking our weaknesses, I made a little board called Improving, and you can see I just have 4 columns here that I'm going to fill up with studies, situations or illustrations where I felt like I did a good job at these things so I can kind of like remember how I did it, as well as any sort of tutorials and guides that I find online, because a lot of the times I save that stuff and then I never look at it again. So this is a really great way to kind of attack your weaknesses in a very organized and sensible way. Okay, so I loaded up each of the columns with at least one example where I felt like I did better than usual, or I'm happier kind of with, you know, the hands, the mouth expressions, posing, that sort of thing. I think this is good just to keep yourself encouraged while you're working on your weaknesses. And then I'm also going to add in just some resources and references just to help me tackle each of these weaknesses whenever I feel like it. And obviously you would want this to be your personal weaknesses. If you're really good at hands, don't have a hand column, but just select a maximum of 4 things that you would like to improve in your style. I have tons of websites where I just randomly collect beautiful visuals and things that inspire me, so I usually am trawling through there to see what needs to be organized into here. And the great thing is, once you have these all set up, it's really easy to just keep adding to them. One of the other things I like about Milanote is that you can put in like a website like line of action for specifically hands. I put that in the hands column, of course, because it's one of the easiest ways that I practice hands and posing. And yeah, you can just basically tackle your weaknesses like this in a really fun way. You can collect up references when you're not in the mood to do studies, and then when you are, you can just pop in here and go to a website that helps you practice, copy a pose that you really like this boom operator from the Saw movies. And then keeping track of your strengths is just as important, because you don't want to lose any of the things that you love about your art style. One of the biggest things that I notice people having trouble with is that as they do studies, sometimes they let go of the things they like most in their style. So always remember the stuff that you like as well, not only because it improves your morale as you're working on your weaknesses, but also so that you don't lose that special something. I also have a little bucket here for just random inspiration. These are almost all pictures that I took myself. I take a lot of pictures in art galleries. This was from the new wing at LACMA, and then these are just some places that I've gone, some pictures I've taken out of planes. I think this is Mount Olympia, or one of those little volcano mountains in Oregon, and just like cool bugs I found. Anything that really inspires you and that you end up just taking a picture of, it's great to have a place to put it, because oftentimes I feel like we just never go back to look at these things. And I left little notes as well, just kind of explaining what it is that I found inspiring or exciting about it. And this is a really great way when you're just like totally art blocked and you don't really know what to draw, just to go back into things that really sparked your interest in the real world. And of course I made a little board for my childhood inspirations, just trying to really get in touch with my childhood self and the things that I love to draw, like snakes and dragons and beautiful cakes for whatever reason. Whatever it is for you, just fill up, you know, wherever you're keeping all your images, and you might find that it really helps you get in touch with that original part of yourself that wanted to draw in the first place. I'll show you how I built my historical inspiration board too, because I really had a lot of fun filling this one out. As we discussed, my favorite 3 eras right now are these like cave drawings and Paleolithic sculptures. I just find them so charming, and I don't know, I get weirdly like emotional about art that's so old. I also really love the Impressionists. This is a very basic art girl opinion, but I will never take it back because I think they're amazing. I have some Mary Cassatt, Van Gogh, Monet, and just kind of taking inspiration from all of the colors. And 90s and early 2000s alternative comics and manga. It's a really weird mix, but that's how you can take references and still make it your own. If you want to try out Milanote, check out the link in my description, and thank you so much again to Milanote for continuing to support this channel. It is my favorite organizational tool, and I use it even when they're not actively sponsoring me, so if you trust my taste, I guess you should definitely give it a shot. Okay, for our next step, we're going to be looking to the future, the way you want to add fun and whimsy to your art style moving forward. This is the hardest part for me to tell you, because everyone's art and artistic journey is going to be different, but there are a few things that might be helpful to keep in mind. Try to play around with different styles in your sketchbook. It's one of the best ways to find new things that you like. And I know this sounds like boring advice, but when you're out and about, try not to distract yourself when you're bored. Look around at the details of the space that you're in and think about what looks most interesting to you. It could be the worn texture of the carpet at school, a weird looking cloud in the sky, a pretty leaf on the sidewalk. It's all visual information that you can use in your art later. You can even take pictures of interesting textures and shapes in the world and reference that or even overlay them into your art. Go to art museums if you have any near you and spend some time just absorbing everything you see. There are so many things that inspire me in life, and it's not until I really had that taken away, like during lockdown, that I realized how much I need outside stimuli in order to come up with new ideas. It can be so easy to just stay inside all day, but you know, whenever you're out and about, really try to look at everything around you, because you'll be amazed at how many ideas you'll start randomly having. Like I talked about in the Millinotes section, collecting photos that you really love for whatever reason, just love like whatever's in your area, whether it's a cool bug, a beautiful leaf, some kind of weird advertisement, a billboard that's malfunctioning, you know, whatever it is, having those pictures and looking back at them and just like really paying attention to what you think is beautiful or interesting can really help guide your aesthetics in the future when it comes to your own art. Because a lot of the time we have these like very curated or like algorithmically decided groups of images online, but in real life all you can really follow is your own heart. You know, there's really, it's about whatever excites you and what you look at, and I think that that can really help with the uniqueness of your point of view, which I think is super important when it comes to your art and your art style. I hope this video was helpful or at least entertaining. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you do any of these exercises, please show me on Blue Sky or Instagram. You can tag me and I will take a look, because I really think that they're so fun and they will be different for every single person, which I think is just the coolest. Thank you so much for watching till the end, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much to my wonderful members and patrons, including Pigsty Princess, F62541, Harper Hatcher, Kasane Teto is the best in the world, Kyujum, Eilimation, Sleepy Owl, Sunny's Art in the Sky, Fractured Stars, Arugi, Dogs for Life, Frogskirt, Roger Baker, Mina Feldman, I'm a Potato, Stabbo the Gremlin, Becca Wade, Zori Eyes, Gashes to Gashes, Shaimani, Loro, Mr. Bingley, Larana, Mimi Mamori, Pale Star Poppy, Celery Sticks, The Mousy Mouse, Burnt Toast, Sopapia, Heicho, Trexa Panda, Lonely Purple Zealot, Clown of Club, Honey Kitten, Data, Skitten, Gold Pikachu, Cat's Simple Name, Inoku Shoal, Moonmite, Elimation, Penelope, Becca Wade, Powermine, John Steele, The Names Are Gone, Crodotus, Sunday Good Enough, 5 Minute Flower, Raztarosh, Casey, Graveyard Mars, Grexius, Kingdom Hearts Sucks, Lumbot, Stevie, Lucy Yamajiki, Ravens Crows, Ocelot, Jabber Dabber Doo, Light Jewel, Kadaria, The Expressive Poker Face, Tsubaki Cutie Pie, Ice Cream Pal, Cola, JJ Jade, and of course, blah 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 blah.